Hey folks, KILT-MAN here, KILT-MAN at your services. How are you all? I hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, bit of itchy housekeeping. The cat just got me literally a few minutes ago. Really got me on this arm. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see that? Got me there all the way down and all the way around here. And you can see these cuts. There they are. And even on the other side as well, got me there. One of those cuts where you went like that. And I went, and you actually heard the rip of skin, the little tearing. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, got away with that one. Little white line. Cat owners will know what I'm talking about here. The little white line that as you watch, it stretches apart and bubbles of blood come up and then it becomes a gushing geyser of gore. Well, actually, I was quite lucky there because she got that bit bled and all this bit down here has been bleeding. Where's it? There, somewhere around there anyway. You can see it all. So yeah, gore aplenty. Now, anyway, Sam Raimi, what's he been up to? Well, he's a busy boy, isn't he? He's a busy boy. If he's not producing Evil Dead movies and TV shows, then he's back in the director's seat. Yeah. What? Send Help came out. Was it this year? Was it this year or back in the last year? I can't remember now. But Send Help and big success. And he thought, well, okay. I'm happy directing movies again. So now we get, okay, it's another remake, but it's one that could be quite worthy, I think. A remake of 1978's psychological horror thriller drama about a ventriloquist dummy. Oh, you hate them already, don't you? Hate them already. Magic, which was based on William Goldman's novel there from 1976. And it's a pot boiler of a movie. And we'll talk about that in a bit, but Sam Raimi was attached to this film, the remake of, several years ago. Back in 2022, he was announced as being the producer for Lionsgate of a remake of Magic. Now that sort of bubbled along a little bit, just bubbled along under the radar, and then we get the news a couple of days ago that, oh, he's not just producing it, he's directing it. And I think it's a great idea. I genuinely do. There's a lot of scope to Magic, and which was unexplored with the original movie. And I think, you know, we have this thing about dummies and dolls and toys, don't we? Annabelle, Chucky, that Zuni Hunter Warrior doll from Trilogy of Terror Parts 1 and 2, that little bastard, yeah? With the big teeth and the spear. Dolls, and what else do we have? Puppet Master and all that, like. Loads and loads of things. Oh, that frigging clown doll from Poltergeist. Little bastard he was too. So there's a lot of inherent psychological fear that we have about these things. And a ventriloquist dummy, did I say? Yes, I did. What was our first famous great portmanteau movie? Dead of Night for Ealing. And you have Michael Redgrave terrorised by his own dummy, his own ventriloquist dummy. And he goes loopy-loo, doesn't he? So it's been done before. And the story of Magic it's Anthony Hopkins playing Corky Withers, who's a really dismal stage magician, plying his trade in the bars and clubs of Manhattan, and he's dying a death every time because they're not interested in his brand of old school magic, little card tricks and a bit of witty banter which falls flat. And his mentor, played by, well, called Merlin as it transpires, Merlin the magician, says to him on his deathbed, you need to get the old charm back, you need a gimmick, Corky, you need something different, something new. So he goes away, thinks about it, comes back with a ventriloquist dummy. He's obviously learned ventriloquism in the meantime, and comes out with this horrible bastard dummy called Fats. And although he's still doing his magic show, Fats intervenes, Fats gets in the way, and Fats is foul-mouthed, a wisecracking, quipster that puts Corky down all the time, has an eye for the ladies, and he no holds barred, and he becomes a rip-roaring success. And his agent, in the film played by Burgess Meredith, the great Burgess Meredith, Mickey, gets him signed up for the big time. I think NBC want him for the big TV show and offshoots and that, like. But there's a caveat. Oh, you got to sign all these papers here. This is multi-million dollars, kid, with a big cigar. You're a little Burgess Meredith and a massive big cigar. This is big money. There's a big bucks, kid. You know, you sign here, and I'll get you. The world will be yours. Be your oyster, kid. And but you got to go for a medical. Oh, did not mention that. Got to go for a medical. And Corky's like, I don't want to do that. Can I just sign all the papers and let's just, be done with it, and I'll be a superstar. Yeah. I'll do what you say, but I don't want to sign that doc. I don't want to have a medical. Why don't you have a medical, kid? It's just format. You've got to do these things. They don't really go on live TV and having a big meltdown, do they? Oh, foretelling of the future, methinks. And but Corky's having none of it. It's a matter of principle. I want to go for a medical. And he does a runner, and he goes off to his rural retreat in the Catskills, and where he grew up, and he meets his old school crush, played by the ever luscious Anne Margaret. Oh God! And this is Anthony Hopkins and Anne Margaret, and he tries to rekindle, his romance with her, which didn't exist to begin with. But she's in a loveless marriage with the great Ed Lauter, who's a hunter and a bit of a lout, hence the name Ed Lauter. And she is happy to jump ship and get off with Corky and all that. But in the meantime, in this soap opera dynamics, by this lovely rural lake and cabins on the lakeside, out in the middle of nowhere, Fats throws his oar in. And Fats doesn't like to be left out of things. Oh no. So next thing, people start getting offed, clubbed, drowned, stabbed. Yeah, Fats is on the warpath. But is it really Fats? Is it really that little wooden dummy that everyone loves so much? Can he be that nasty? Or is it something else? Is it someone's twisted psychology? Who knows? Well, I do. And in fact, you do as well. Because this film, Magic, when it came out, was reasonably successful, and it got a lot of TV airings, certainly in the UK, and it became like quite a cause celeb at the time, sort of early 80s on TV, and you'd always watch it. And yeah, it's a great claustrophobic, tightly psychological drama, and I haven't seen it for a long time, but now I'm talking about it, I kind of want to see it again. And I'm playing Jerry Goldsmith's score, and Goldsmith's score for this movie is outstanding. It's basically piano and strings, but there's a harmonica used in it as well, and the harmonica is for Fats. A lot of speculation. Goldsmith never said why he used the harmonica. It was just like to give it a sort of rustic sort of feel to the setting, and make the Fats as a bit sort of brash and roguish, a renegade, a mountain man sort of thing. And but a lot of film score scholars are saying no, because the act of working a harmonica, it's breathing in and breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. It's to give the suggestion that Fats is alive and he's breathing. Well, whatever. It's still a cute little motif to have, and quite eerie. So Raimi's now going to take this on board, and I think this is a great idea. The original film, it's not the greatest horror movie. It's what I would term as a cozy, but still quite dark and sinister and violent drama. It's very foul-mouthed. There's a bit of nookie in it as well. So it's not that cozy, but it's typical 70s fare. I'd put this alongside the Amityville Horror as being, not quite a toiki, but it's still, it ain't grade A, but it's enjoyable. But it could be a lot more dynamic. The original book by William Goldman is a lot more expansive, and it's told in a sort of kaleidoscopic fashion. You have the present day, you go in the past in different periods, all throughout Corky's life, and you get to know a hell of a lot more about his psychosis. The film itself, roughly, it's been a long time since I read the book. I didn't read the book. Well, I read the book when I was a kid in the 70s. When the film first came out, I got the book straight away. And a lot of it's page after page of just dialogue between Fats and Corky. It's just Corky, isn't it? Of course it is. But Fats is obviously his superego. It's his id. It's the voice of his Jiminy Cricket conscience. But it's a bad conscience though. Oh yeah, it urges him to do bad things. But it's all part of his own twisted mind. And But in the book, you get a lot more of his background and maybe why this psychosis took place. The film kind of just sits with the last third of the book, out in the rural cabin, rekindling a love affair, and then the murders ensue. I'm not going to say too much now about that original film because I've got a feeling I'm going to watch it and maybe review it. What say I do that? I might do that. If I stop bleeding, that is. Because this has opened up again now. Bloody cat. At least it isn't a dummy. Far worse, So, Raimi, I think, directing could employ that fabulous virtuoso camera work, the cinematography of nightmares, gliding in, super speed, intense close-ups, lots of shots where he likes things going into people's orifices, does he not? Yep, certain body parts, body bits, in the ear, in the eye, up the nose, in the mouth, horrible things, icky bony fingers and tendrils and vines and plants and things, and obviously weapons and blood. So I think you could really have a prowling cabin in the woods style tale, and you're really going to employ Fats, the dummy, to one hell of a demonic degree. We're not talking deadites here, we're not talking huge amounts of mutilation, but this really is the sort of sandpark that Sam Raimi likes to play in. And as I say, he's having a bit of a Raimi renaissance at the moment, so to get this fast tracked, it's written by, I've got this down here somewhere, this version, written by Mark Swift and Damien Shannon, who were the writers behind Send Help for Raimi, and also Freddy vs. Jason. I'm not sure what else they've done, but they're the two films I've got listed anyway. But with Raimi, I put a lot of trust in. Now, Raimi is trying to get off the ground a Drag Me to Hell sequel. Not sure it's entirely necessary, but but I love Drag Me to Hell, and I think it's an outstanding horror film. It's fun, it's chaotic, giddy, nasty, gruesome, macabre fun, and you could do another take on it. A sequel, are we going to literally go to hell because our heroine does get dragged to? Oh, sorry, spoilers. Our heroine does get dragged to hell at the very end. So are we going to follow her into hell? I don't know. Justin Long fighting the devil. I don't think that's going to work out, do you? To get his babe back. But Raimi could work a lot of wonder with this. He likes, small casts and sort of very limited location work because he can really employ and exploit that. A few trees around a cabin and just using a cabin itself and a lake, he's got it. That's it. It's an entire universe for him to play in. Raimi, of course, done a lot of superhero movies, Spider-Man trilogy, Spider-Verse, whatever. No, Doctor Strange in the multiverse or whatever it was. So he can do bigger scale, of course. We know that. But I think he's better in a closed, reined-in environment where he can really let rip and do a lot of damage. So would it be a serious take, like the original film, which is so serious it actually is it's camp and cheesy because it's so serious? Or will he go down the fun roller coaster ride sort of avenue? Who knows? And who will he get to score it? He won't get Goldsmith now, obviously. But he's used Christopher Young in the past for Drag Me to Hell, and what a wonderful score that is. And Christopher Young, oh God. But he tends to use Danny Elfman these days. I mean, Joe LaDuca did Evil Dead movies from a long time ago, and the Ash vs. Evil Dead. So that'd be good, but I'm not sure what he's up to these days. But Elfman is the sort of composer that Raimi sort of veers towards in recent years. And Elfman does love Jerry Goldsmith. Who doesn't love Jerry Goldsmith? So either way, we could get a great score out of it as well. So, Dummies, ventriloquism. Got the gear, and all that kind of shit. They're fucking horrible, aren't they? Now, the original movie was directed by Richard Attenborough. I was going to say David Attenborough there, his brother. It's equally illustrious and still alive brother. He's 100 now, is David Attenborough. But Sir Richard Attenborough directed it. And he had just come off the back of doing A Bridge Too Far. You may recall I've mentioned that film a lot on the channel due to my father, Big Kilt Papa's participation in the making of that movie. And what a film that is. And Anthony Hopkins was in that, playing Lieutenant Colonel John Frost, Supreme Commander Parachute Regiment, take and hold the Arnhem Bridge. But of course the Arnhem Bridge is the bridge too far. They've gone too far, and well, carnage ensues. And when he got the gig to do this, to do Magic, he thought, that's perfect. I want something that's nice and quiet and small compared to the scale that I just worked on for A Bridge Too Far. And he was also thinking about doing Gandhi. A little known film called Gandhi was going to come up, a few years afterwards, but he was working on that already. And so, small scale, a small ensemble cast, mainly dialogue driven, just a handful of locations, easy peasy. And he thought, Anthony Hopkins, because he loved him so much in A Bridge Too Far. And Anthony Hopkins, fantastic actor, and can definitely play a screwball and unhinged character. There's a certain Hannibal Lecter, ring any bells? And he's done a lot. Even when he played Captain Bligh in The Bounty, opposite Mel Gibson's Fletcher Christian, he's very unhinged in that, just as Fletcher Christian appears schizophrenic under the expert work of Mr. Gibson. And so Hopkins has got that in spades. But William Goldman, who wrote the book and adapted his own book for the screenplay of the movie, insisted and lobbied on getting Gene Wilder to play the character of Corky. And that would have been really spectacular. I've said many times, seeing comedians, especially stand-up comedians, playing or taking on serious roles. Look at Robin Williams, even Steve Martin. Steve Martin, I think, gets name dropped in the film of Magic. I'm sure he does. Or maybe a few other comedians get name dropped as well. Because it's sort of based around the time of Richard Pryor and all these wacky, sardonic and controversial comics who just say what they felt about politics, about sexual antics. They're just rude. So, but he wanted Gene Wilder, and as I say, I think that would have been outstanding to see Gene Wilder turn absolutely dark. He can do manic, he can do the verbal play, he can do all that sort of stuff. The slapstick would have been outstanding to see. But Hopkins is genius. However, should I talk about this? Because if I'm going to review the film, surely I'm going to cover it in that. But this paves the way. Hopkins really cannot play an American. Oh, I know, his accent's far better in Silence of the Lambs, but in this, it's pretty bad. He can't hide his native Welsh. He just can't do it. And he looks awful. They're giving the world's worst jumpers and sweaters and the most boring, bland sort of fashions. And his hair's just like Lego hair, just stuck on. Then again, I suppose what it does, it mimics Fats, the dummy, because the dummy does look like, well, maybe not so in that picture, but the blue eyes and everything, the two of them do look alike. They have the same hairdo. So maybe, and they wear the same clothes as well. So maybe that was the intention all along, having bland and just like really, inoffensive in a way. He's boring. He's like a little granddad, or he's the boring uncle that comes around with the most boring naff presents at Christmas time, and then he just sits in the armchair and just smiles. No stories, no anecdotes. Doesn't even have a drink and get pissed. That's the kind of character that Corky is on the outside, but on the inside, ooh, that ain't so. But but Goldman didn't win the day, and obviously Hopkins got the part. And yeah, I find it funny as well that this film is also a sort of variation on Psycho, written by Robert Bloch, directed by Sir Alfred Hitchcock. It's about a man with a fractured mind, schizophrenic, uses voices, but they're all coming from him, and he's obeying the commands of an inanimate object. In that case, it's mummified mum. And in this, you've got exactly the same scenario, and directed by another Englishman. Sir Alfred Hitchcock did Psycho, an Englishman. Sir Richard Attenborough, an Englishman, does this. Both films set in like a small rural enclave, you know, in America. The similarities are endless, folks, endless. But in the film, you've got Anne Margaret as well, who is just dazzling. But yeah, I'm up for this. I'm up for a remake of Magic. The title Magic always struck me as a little bit odd because, you know, like Halloween was originally called the Babysitter Murders, and just that stroke of genius, you know, why don't we call it Halloween and set it on Halloween night? That instantly opened up the entire pantheon of the horror genre. Pumpkins, the bogeyman, you know, masks, everything came into play, and it just broadened the entire concept. So with Magic, yeah, he's a magician on stage, but he doesn't really do a lot of magic tricks. They're just really shitty little card tricks, and they're really naff as well, like, and doesn't do any sort of major trickery. So you don't really get to see much of that going on. I think there's a bit of sleight of hand with a stone on they're skipping stones on the lake, and I'm sure he just picks up a stone and goes, whoosh, makes it disappear. Do it again, whoosh, and all that kind of shit, like. And but Magic, that title, you kind of think, oh, there's going to be a lot of sleight of hand and trickery and visual aplomb, and you know what's going to come out the hat next? Is it a rabbit or a severed head? You know what's it going to be? No, it's a ventriloquist dummy. But then again, you can't call a film Dummy, can you? Maybe you could. Fats always calls Corky Shmucko, you know, and he's foul-mouthed as well. Like, so Shmucko, how was the orgy? Did you get lucky? Did you boner? Brains and boobs, hey? Anyway, folks, do comment below and let me know what you think. Have you seen the original Magic? If so, what did you reckon? Do you think it's worthy of being updated? And there's the other thing, will it be an update? Will it be set in a city, in an apartment? Will it be set in the cabin in the woods? Raimi, cabin in the woods, gotta be, hasn't it? Will they up the ante when it comes to gore and violence? Very possibly. Or will it be a slow burn sort of thing? Raimi just, you know, I'm gonna let the dialogue and the scenes speak for themselves. Who knows? I think with Raimi, you're gonna get hyperkinetic. It's gonna go OTT and be a helter-skelter ride through the twisted psyche of an absolute nut job. Oh, imagine Bruce Campbell doing it. No, we can't get Bruce to do it now, can we? Bruce isn't well, as sadly we know. But Bruce, come on, we're all rooting for you. Come on, Bruce. So yeah, anyway, comment below, let me know what you think. And I think I'm going to do a review of Magic. It's got to be on YouTube somewhere. If you haven't got it, you haven't seen it, then yeah, I'm sure you'll find it somewhere. Oh, speaking of devil, there's the Blu-ray of it. And here is, while I think on, the original Betamax copy. That's, I mean, obviously they shoved that card in the video library into that box, an unsuitably white box. But here's the actual original cassette. Little tiny Betamax tapes. Look at them. So, yeah, I had it way back in the day. And a terrifying love story is the tagline. That's not the best, I don't think. But anyway, this film ain't for dummies, you know, Shmucko. Have you got a woodpecker? I have. Aye. Folks, I've been always Shabby KILT-MAN. Please, in the meantime, and this ever, just express yourself with your little demonic friend on your knee in between time. Please keep it kilted, keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all. I'm just pointing there to my own little dummy friend, Mr. Kentucky Fudge. If he's suddenly got a mind of his own and some willpower, God help us all. He'd be off down the pub in a kilt like this one, in a kilt, buying whiskies, chatting up the ladies. Good luck to you, sir. Wish you better luck than I have.